Hey guys, it's the Captain here.
And Danish Pete.
And this little video here is designed to take another look at the Atomic AmpliFire, which if you've not seen before is a little kind of guitar modeling and effects unit device. But now we're looking at different ways that you can use this in a live situation. So we've got 3 ways that you could hear the Atomic AmpliFire live. Conventional guitar amplifier, which we are plugging the amplifier into the effects return. So you kind of, if you don't have an effects loop on your amplifier and you end up having to plug into the front end of the amp, unfortunately you're going to get all the kind of character of the preamp sort of fighting against what the amplifier is going to do. So in an ideal world, you go in through the return, and then all you've got is the kind of power amp characteristic and I suppose the cabinet characteristic. So that's the first one you're going to hear. We have the Atomic CLR FRFR active cabinet, which is from the same company that make the amplifier and is designed specifically to be used with a product like this or an Axe-Fx or a Kemper or something like that. So it's a flat response active cabinet, 12-inch speaker with a high frequency driver in the middle.
And there's 2 different versions of those, because there's a wedge,
yes,
and there's a normal one.
And actually, this is the wedge, but we've kind of stood it up on its end to get them all at the same sort of angle.
Yeah.
And then the final one over there is the Yamaha DXR12, which is a powered PA speaker, again conventional 12-inch speaker with a high frequency driver above it. And what we're going to do is, whichever one we're playing through, we're going to move it into the middle, so they're always in the same place. We are trying to room mic this, as I'm sure you can understand. Close miking a PA speaker or an FRFR cabinet is impossible, really. So we're sort of room miking. So we've got a collection of mics over here, just trying to get the sort of the most realistic capture of actually what we're hearing in the room. So that's what you're hearing. And I'm not going to go into too much depth on the amplifier. I'm just going to use 3 presets, or not presets, 3 basic amp models. So we're going to use the Deluxe for the clean sound, the Hairy Brown Eye, the Friedman Hairy Brown Eye for the really overdriven sound.
Good name.
And do you know what? We haven't even chosen which one we're going to do for the rock sound, so I might have to come back to you on that one. But we're going to do like a driven sound, probably something like the Top Boost or the Plexi or something like that, for sort of an in-between sound. We'll come back to that. If we're plugged into this, I'm switching the cabinet emulation in here off. So in other words, you are hearing just the natural sound of a Celestion Vintage 30 loaded 1x12. When you're hearing this one or this one, the cabinet emulation will be on, and it will be the sort of matched appropriate cabinet for the amp that we're using. Yeah. So the Fender Deluxe will be a 112, the Hairy Brown Eye will probably be a 412 kind of emulation. And we're not using any of the effects in here apart from a smidgen of reverb. So let's get on and do some playing. It's an opportune moment for me to say to you, if you buy an amplifier and you get it home and you run through the first 20 presets without doing any tweaking, you will get a really bad representation of quite what the amplifier can do. Straight out the box, it's got some impressive tones in it, but to get the best out of any device, either straight into an interface or into headphones or whatever, you really need to go through and just kind of re-EQ and tweak everything to get the best out of it.
Like the other videos we did, it took a little. It didn't take a lot of time, but it took a little to get the tone. If you watch some of the other videos we've done, the amplifier does blues and all these videos. It was a little bit of a tweak, and then you get the sound, and then it sounds great. Yeah. But you have to do that. You know, don't just expect.
One of the things that actually is, quite a deep edit in here is you even have to tell it. Its default mode is to work in stereo. Great if you're going into an interface, but if you're doing like we're doing, we're in mono. You actually have to tell each patch that you don't want it to be in stereo. Otherwise, if you only use one output, you only get half the kind of sound.
Exactly. Hook it up to the computer with the USB cable. Get the editor onto your PC or Mac, and then have a fiddle there. That's definitely much easier because you get great big display, and you can see what you're doing and all that stuff.
And we're going to just cut all this together really fast now, so you're not going to see any of the editing that I do for each of the different speakers. You're just going to hear the amazing Danish Pete here playing his 335, I should say. So before you guys all shout that he's got nasty buttons on his denim jacket and he's scratching the back, I don't care. It's his guitar. He can do what he likes. How many tours and gigs has this guitar done?
Many.
Cool. All right. Let's try.
Cool.
So the first one, as I said, this is actually an EL. No, this is not. This is a 6L6 loaded power section, about a 40-watt power section here. As I said, into a 112 cabinet, using first of all the Fender Deluxe. Nice. Beautiful. Okay, so for this next set of three, we are using the Rumble amp model with the same amount of reverb as we had before. So, and for the higher gain stuff, we are using the Friedman Hairy Brown Eye. Again, same reverb, tweaked a little bit here just to get it sounding good through here. Take it away, please, Pete. Good job.
Thanks.
Danish Pete.
Thank you.
So to surmise there, obviously you can all draw your own conclusions from this, and I'm not entirely sure how amazing a scientific experiment it is, bearing in mind that this microphone technique is slightly unorthodox.
It is trying to get the best room, best sound in the room, which is never really easy. But it's classical instruments.
Yeah.
Yeah, but trying to record what you're hearing in the room
With
is always
guitars, very difficult.
always difficult unless you put two microphones on each ears. I don't know, but that would look very silly.
But I think my kind of feeling, and I'm interested to hear what Pete says, is that the regular guitar amplifier kind of came out sounding a little bit dark, but was my sort of second favourite one.
Yeah.
The PA cabinet worked quite nicely on the clean tones, and the more gain you put on, the more you realise that there's just too much mid-range missing.
Yeah, and then I agree, and also keep in mind that if you are using it at a bigger gig, there will be bigger speakers, and there will be a front of house guy who can tweak what comes out of the front.
Yeah.
You know,
the best I've heard one of these in the store was a customer that used a clean tone on this with his own distortion pedals in the front of it through a pair of these.
All right.
But the gainy sounds in this through this, and this is absolutely the outstanding one.
Yeah, that's my pick as well.
I don't know what it is, but the top end. There's enough mid-range. There's tons of bottom end, that you can roll off if you don't really need it. But this, I guess it's no surprise.
In the room.
Yeah.
But
I guess it's kind of no surprise that the guy that makes these also makes these, so you'd kind of hope that he'd match them up quite nicely.
Yeah. There are also settings, it's worth mentioning, there's settings on the back here that they recommend. So if you put it on the floor, use it as a wedge. If it's shooting up at you, there's a different setting. I don't know how that works exactly because we literally just unpacked it.
I'll put links in the description below to where you can find out about all these things. I mean, in fairness to Yamaha, this speaker is cheaper than the CLR, so if perhaps it's relative that this sounds better. Yeah. Obviously,
if you have this already, then it's
and of course, depending on what guitar amp, if we'd plugged it into a Fender Deluxe, it would have sounded very different again. Yeah. If you plug it into a Marshall JCM 800, it'll sound different again.
Yeah.
But there you go. Look, they're all usable though. In fairness, I don't think any of them came across as unusable.
No. But again, tweaking is
king.
The key.
Every single one of those things that you heard, I tweaked nothing more complicated than just tweaking the EQ.
No, that was it.
But it's important. It's important to tweak to get the right sound. And of course, what we aren't trying to demo here is how this sounds through an interface. We have a ton of other videos on the Andertons channel that.
Well, you can go and check that out.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
So for now, I think that's the end of this wonderful little run through.
I think so. Yeah.
I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any other suggestions for videos that involve keeping our clothes on, taking them off. I'm open-minded either way.
And still keep sending in those funky shirts for us.
Yes, please. That would be amazing.
No, we need some funky shirts.
You got funky shirts? You got sent a shirt the other day? Did you? Oh, you want a funky shirt?
We want some funky shirts.
Pete wants shirts that are appropriate
Hawaiian
to wear
shirts.
in his Guitar Paradiso show.
Send them in.
They they just wear the shirts. There's nothing from the waist downwards is worn in that. There is.
Just use.
Okay, right. Enough.
Socks and sandals.
Enough. I will put links in the description below for everything that you've seen in this video, except this guitar, because this belongs to Pete. So the closest you can get to that is just go and buy a modern day ES335 in cherry gloss. Yeah. Beautiful guitar it is too.
And then leave it in the rain for a little bit.
Did you? Don't do that. Okay. I've been the captain.
I've been Danish Pete.
Kapow.